Oftentimes, when people hear the word military, they think of forces like the Army, the Navy, the Marines, and the Air Force. While these men and women represent the tip of the spear around the world, there is one organization that represents the protection right here at home. That is the United States Coast Guard. I joined the Coast Guard in 2005, right after high school. When I first got in, I went through boot camp, and then I was stationed on a 270-foot cutter down in Portsmouth, Virginia. The main mission on that cutter was to go down south for about 2 months at a time into the Caribbean for drug interdiction, migrant interdiction, and the occasional search and rescue. While I was there, I got to do a couple of cool things, a couple of drug interdictions, a couple of migrant interdictions. It was a really good time, but I got to learn a lot about the Coast Guard and what they do. Right after that, I went to specialized training school in Yorktown, Virginia, where I learned to become a bosun mate. Basically, it's a boat driver. And from there, I went to Coast Guard Station Barnegat Light, where I spent about 3 years. And after 3 years, I joined the Coast Guard Reserves, and I've been there ever since. I've been in the Coast Guard for about 8 years now. First, I'd like to tell you a little bit about the history of the Coast Guard. In 1790, Alexander Hamilton founded the United States Coast Guard to protect merchant vessels from attacking pirate ships and hostile British forces. In 1848, small groups of local rescue organizations and other small organizations banded together to form the U.S. Life Saving Service. The U.S. Life Saving Service were a group of men and women that were stationed along the coast. Most of the stations were in New Jersey, Maryland, North Carolina, Massachusetts. Basically, there was a station about every 7 miles. If you go to the island, you can still see where the stations were today. A lot of times they become libraries or town halls. Basically, what would happen if there was a shipwreck on the beach, they would run out and try to rescue the people from the shipwreck. In 1915, President Wilson commanded the Life Saving Service and the Revenue Cutter Service to form the Coast Guard. At first, the Coast Guard was in the Department of Transportation during non-wartime, and when it was a wartime, they would transfer it to the Department of Defense. The Coast Guard is the oldest military organization, and therefore they fought in every major war that America's been involved in. They played crucial roles in World War I, World War II, did a lot of great things. Next, I'd like to talk a little bit about the Coast Guard and its members. The motto of the Coast Guard is Semper Paratus, and basically that means always ready. That's what most of the members live their lives by. They're always worried about being ready at all times to do the best job they can to help people. The Coast Guard is made up of active duty, reservists, and auxiliary volunteers. There's about 42,000 active duty members, about 11,000 reserve members, and about 32,000 auxiliarists. These men and women provide security to over 3.4 million square miles of ocean. If you think about it, that's a lot of space for such a little amount of people. The missions that they serve in include search and rescue, law enforcement, drug interdiction, and border protection. In search and rescue, the Coast Guard conducts about 109 search and rescue cases a day. They assist 192 people in distress a day. In 2008, the U.S. Coast Guard saved 4,000 lives and performed 24,000 search and rescue cases, according to the GoCoastGuard.com website. In law enforcement, every day the Coast Guard boards about 144 boats. Basically, boarding is to promote boating safety. They'll come alongside a boat and check for life jackets, fire extinguishers. Anytime you see a Coast Guard boat out in the water, they're not looking for speeders or anything. They're just trying to make sure everybody's playing safe. Another mission they're involved in is drug interdiction. Every day, on average, the Coast Guard seizes about 169 pounds of marijuana and 206 pounds of cocaine, which equals to about $9,589,000, according to GoCoastGuard.com. Another thing they do is border protection. In 2008, the U.S. Coast Guard interdicted about 5,000 illegal migrants at sea. In fact, between 1987 and 2007, the Coast Guard interdicted more than 225,000 illegal immigrants, which is quite a few. We've all seen the orange helicopters flying down our coast, or the orange boats patrolling the bay. Next time you see them, remember that these are the men and women that represent the United States Coast Guard. It's a service that has been protecting our waters and our borders since the 1700s and will continue to do so into the future. Thank you for your time.